A very good evening, PGP class of 21. Hope you and your families are staying home and staying safe. Welcome to today's leadership address by our Apex Council, Dean Rajendra Srivastava, and Deputy Deans Milind Sohoni and Phil Zarello. Also, we have with us senior faculty members and head of departments who have worked relentlessly over the past few weeks to design and further reinforce the value proposition of our flagship PGP program. In the words of Milton Friedman, if I can quote, only a crisis, actual or perceived, produces real change. In fact, as some of you might be aware, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters, one representing threat and the other opportunity. While some may perceive the current COVID-19 situation as a threat, we have chosen to take this as an opportunity to emerge stronger than before. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Dean Raj to get started on this transformational journey.
A very good evening, class of 2021. Warm welcome, no pun intended, to this virtual meeting. Uh, as the Benjamin boss has already mentioned, these are extraordinary, unprecedented, and really uncertain times. On a daily basis, we see the sand shifting, like in the desert. We see the landscape changing. We see differences in government regulations. We are getting inputs from the incoming class. We're getting inputs from the alumni. We're getting inputs from our corporate partners, from our friends in the government and the public sector. And constantly, I must say on a 24/7 basis almost, all of us, the faculty and staff, have been looking at what adjustments can we make to make this a truly safe and an inspiring journey in your educational landscape. Now, when we have these challenges, do note that the challenges also present an opportunity for us to change for the better. And in the same context, what we are doing is, as we look at the shifting sands, so to say, we are simultaneously looking at how do we improve our postgraduate program in business. Now, one of the things to realize is that the future is not going to be the same as it has been in the past. So as an example, when we talk to the corporate leaders, the narrative has been changing from efficiency to resilience. How do we survive? How do we, ensure the safety of the organization? How do we ensure the safety of the people? How do we ensure the safety of the business? Because the biggest risk a company faces is losing its market. And in these times, what we are seeing are immense challenges. Also remember that when you go through the postgraduate program at ISB, we have a brand, and a brand is built by our students. And when I'm traveling, which I'm not these days, but when I'm traveling and I run into people and they hear that I'm from ISB, they say, "Oh, we love your students." And I ask why? Why do you love our students? The most frequent answer that I get is, "Oh, ISBians know how to get things done." And getting things done is really coming because of teamwork, people working together in groups, people critically examining, things. And one of the best things we can do is teach you to constantly ask questions, but come up with better answers compared to what we were doing in the past. Also important is the leadership that our students show in the job, in leading people and inspiring people in terms of doing the right things. The other thing that I want to emphasize is there's a lot of entrepreneurship amongst ISBNs. And entrepreneurship also really means how do we balance risk? How do we change constantly? And how can we be creative and how can we add value to what we were already doing? So basically, it is being innovative. And so being innovative means that you have to balance the growth and risk because there's a saying, no risk, no gain. The third thing I want to emphasize is that ISBNs are known for being resilient, for being adaptive, and for being creative. Now, all this does not come from textbooks. A lot of it comes from the heart. And so in addition to IQ and EQ that everybody talks about, I'm really proud of the fact that ISBNs have HQ, meaning heart quotient. So we're not only thinking about ourselves, but we're also thinking about society. So let me spend just a couple more minutes talking about the fact that things are not going to come back to the way we were, and we have to get used to a new normal. What is the new normal? The new normal is that companies and therefore managers have to learn to be flexible. They have to adapt to changes that are taking place. And just as an example, I was talking to, the CFO of a Fortune 50 company, and he mentioned that they have now moved to quarterly as opposed to annual budgets. They don't have an annual budget. They're adjusting the budget on a quarterly basis. And this is the kind of challenge that they're facing. Another thing is that with technology coming in, you have shorter life cycles. And you also have digitally enabled processes. So that is not going to change either. With shorter life cycles, we have to adjust our business models on a pretty constant basis. A third thing that is going to be really relevant is that as we look at the future, you will have to learn how to manage organizations virtually. This is what we have been doing at ISB. ISB is no exception. And I'm delighted to say that our staff and faculty are actually putting in more time and working more intensely in a space that is digitally managed. It is also a movement from a hierarchical organization to a matrix organization. So when you graduate from ISB, you could be working for a company in India, which has headquarters maybe in Switzerland, and your boss may be the country manager at one end, but you have a second boss who may be, let's say, the head of key account management if you're in sales and marketing. So you'll be, you'll be operating in a manner where you'll be, working with multiple bosses, and therefore, you'll have to have the flexibility to juggle things at your end. That is not going to go away. Also, the future of work, more and more you will see that you'll be judged on performance, and you will have to manage performance and not inputs. By performance, I mean more outcome-driven management as opposed to input-driven management. On the education front, the online hybrid learning model is here to stay. We have been very successfully implementing a 16+4, 14+4 model in a PGP for working professionals, which is running in Gurgaon, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. So we've already been doing it for a year and a half. And so this is not something that new. We've been working with and experimenting with blended learning or hybrid learning, which is mixture of online and offline. We've already been doing it for a year and a half. Also, because the future is going to be tech-driven and ultra-competitive and constantly changing, one of the things that you need to learn is to learn how to learn. So a part of our responsibility at ISB is to make sure that you graduate with an agile mind and that you're in a constant learning mode. And indeed, as you go through the program and after you graduate from here, what we want to do is engage with you in a lifetime learning journey. In your life and ours, there will be problems, and those will lead to opportunities. And therefore, we have to look at it with a positive mindset and saying, look, change is happening. How can we actually do even better than we were doing yesterday? And the companies that are going to win, the individuals that are going to go up the ladder, are the ones who are open to change. Finally, the digital transformation in the new era is actually going to accelerate. We're not going to go back, and we will see that more and more management, more and more learning processes are going to be driven digitally. In this context, what we have done over the last month, over the last 6 weeks actually, is redesigned a postgraduate program. So while we had a pioneering class about 20 years ago, you will be the new pioneers in the brave new world. And we are going to put our best foot forward, and we will bring to you the best of all worlds. That's a guarantee from the faculty and staff, and from the alumni, and from the board, and from everybody who is behind ISP. So with that, I will pass it back to Devinder. Devinder, over to you.
Thank you, Raj, for sharing your worldview and also the inspiring note on change. Since our last leadership address, we have engaged with you, class of 21, in different ways towards welcoming you to the ISB community. Let us now hear from Dr. Z, as we lovingly called him, how this journey has been so far with ISBians, whether it be faculty, alums, staff, board members, all coming together from across the globe to welcome the incoming batch to this large ISB family. Over to you, Dr. Z.
Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome again this evening. It's good to virtually see you again, as I do so many evenings. These last six weeks have at times felt like a bit of a blur, and like they've gone by very, very quickly. And at other times, it feels like so long ago that we were at that we were addressing you for the first time. So just a couple of quick things. When we left off with you, there was a great deal of uncertainty. We didn't know, what was going to happen, how long these lockdowns were going to last, what the health of the world population would be like. We were doing all of this at the time when we were also trying to complete the last class, exit the students from campus. We were asking them to have to leave ahead of the lockdowns and not complete their semesters on campus, but to complete them outside of their dorm rooms. And, it was a very, very chaotic time. But, we looked at it and we said, look, we want to make sure that we stay engaged with you guys. You guys are the future. You're our future class. You're the future of ISB. So we wanted to try and connect. And we've done some things that we haven't done in the past. So what are some of the things that are going to be unique about your class? Well, it started with ISB perspectives. And we began by talking with the various alumni, people like Rohit Kapoor and people like Shubhra and what have you that came out and spoke to you. Also, we've had a number of our executive board members. We've already had Harish and Pramath and people like this coming out and talking with you about the future of ISB, the future of work, how to manage your careers, and things like this. Okay, also what we've done is we've tried to bring you in Operation Jumpstart, one, some faculty learning bites. Secondly, to bring the knowledge of student life, the knowledge of student life from our SEAL group. And third, what we've been doing is trying to bring the people from CAS to talk to you a little bit about careers and how to take your careers forward. So we've had 30 faculty webinars that we've got planned for you. The participants have been showing up in droves every night. We've been averaging over 800 participants nightly. And that's just a great thing, okay? The community is starting to build. And one of the things that I've noticed is I've been put into a couple of group chats. I'm starting to see all of these groups begin to form. And as I talked about, one of the things I smiled about was when I saw the dance group even begin to form remotely and submit their video for World Dance Day. So it's great to see you guys connecting out there. This is part of your journey. It's already begun. You've gotten to see the faculty, you've gotten to connect with the people at SEAL, you're connecting with the people at Career Services, and you're connecting with each other. And this is one of the truly great things about having this little bit of a pause before we get started. Now look, what else do we do? Who came out? Well, you know, we had a number of our fantastic faculty that have come out to see you. Last night, DVR was here. This was his second time speaking with you. I believe last night you also had Francis Kim, and he was over in Korea, dialing in from Korea. You know, we've had Kiran Panada, we had Tej Pavan Singh, who dialed in from down in Australia. And so it's been, you know, fantastic faculty from around the world. But our ISB faculty making the commitment to make sure that you got started, right? So that's what Operation Jumpstart was all about. And we put it together not just in singular lectures, but we've had panels, okay? We've had panels on technology. We've had panels on, I'll control my slides, okay? I've had panels on technology. We've had panels on leadership. We've had panels on sales management, trading, and we have also begun to start talking about projects that you can work on once you get to campus here. So we've started to talk about Jumpstart India and how to really get India back on a solid footing in the post-COVID recovery. So these are the kind of things that we've been doing. Okay, and as we've done this, Operation Jumpstart, we've been interacting with the folks at SEAL, and we've also been dealing with the people over at Career Advancement. Now, at this point, let me turn back to Divyendu.
Thanks, Dr. Z, for making us ISBNs feel so special. You have been with the top universities in the West and in the East, and I'm so happy and proud that you so many times have shared with me that you believe in the talent at ISB to be truly world-class. So class of 21, you need to keep this flag flying high. In terms of the ISB perspectives that Dr. Z already mentioned, we are also starting with, within that banner, we have already Alumni Leadership Series and Executive Board Connect, and we are going to start with Industry Connect, where we are inviting the likes of McKinsey and Diageo and Dr. Reddy's. Now I would like to invite Professor Milind Soni, who has been the Iron Man, if I may say, in these times of crisis. His immaculate focus on has been on how we can ensure truly world-class education that ISB is globally known for. He spearheaded the redesign of the value proposition of PGEP, making it even more relevant for the student of tomorrow and the impactful leaders of, for the student of today and the impactful leaders of tomorrow. Over to you, Milind.
Thank you, Divyendu, for the introduction. And first of all, let me join in welcoming all the new students. I'm really glad to be back because last when I spoke to you, as Phil pointed out, it was, under very strenuous circumstances. We were just going through, the entire transformation business and trying to figure out how to navigate in these troubled times. Of course, since then, things haven't changed as much, but we probably are now getting a handle of, how to deal with this crisis itself, right? So last when I spoke to you as a class, we had proposed a solution and we had put out a calendar for you in order to start getting on track. And we had, made of several modifications. We had put in already some value-adding activities in there. So I'm going to build on that. But before I build on that, I do want to talk to you about at least a few important things that we have learned as of today about the situation that we are in, right? And what do we know about the crisis so far? So has the uncertainty resolved about lockdowns? No, not really. that the lockdowns still continue. In fact, in different parts of the country, the durations are very different, and there are all these zonings that are happening. So the red zone, the orange zone, the green zone, and different parts of the country, we really don't know when things are going to come back to normal. But even if I just look at the states of Telangana and Punjab, where our campuses are, we are looking at the end of May before we are going to get out of this lockdown. Now, a prime concern for us, and which has been the concern all throughout since the crisis started, has been safety. I mean, we definitely want to make sure that our students, our campus residents, everybody we are in touch with is safe. And we still are trying to figure out what governmental regulations are with respect to getting testing done on campus, and make sure that everybody who is here or whoever gets here actually is tested both prior and then during their stay on campus. So those challenges continue to exist for us. Additionally, as you all know, I mean, the ones who are working and who probably have, parents or, spouses or, family members working, staff are still not able to get back to their work. Same thing with ISB. We are waiting for better directions and, how the regulations are going to change over a period of time. So those uncertainties continue to, hold for us too. And in addition, for all the campus service providers that we have with us, that uncertainty also continues to hold for them. So, when will they get their staff back, and when we will be able to, come back to full service? Because one of the biggest experiences on campus, for, as all of you know, for our students, is the wonderful, services and the incredible staff that we have. So those things continue. But while we were grappling with these challenges and thinking about these issues and how to resolve them, right, and the solution that we had proposed to you earlier, right, with the 46-week MBA program, we were listening to you, because we actually, saw a lot of email traffic from you. We saw the, impromptu surveys that you conducted amongst yourselves and got feedback from, subgroups within the incoming class. And of course, Dibendu, Phil, have been in constant touch with several, students, and we were listening, right? It's not like, we had made up our minds and that's what we were going to stick to. And I've listed a few things that, seem to be on the top of your mind, right? And in particular, if I were to categorize things, right? I mean, there was some concern about the shortening of the MBA program. There was concern about, oh, how is this online really going to work? We signed up for, going offline, but now we will have to go online. Then why doesn't, the school start when the government has said that, why don't we just push back the start dates? And then issues regarding, things like how will the peer-to-peer learning suffer? Will my face-to-face interaction suffer? And things about what is this new format, the 16+4, and all of that. So I have those listed here, and by no means I'm saying these are exhaustive, but these pretty much were at the top of the list that you had on your mind, right? And it's not, when we were thinking about this, and it is a challenge that has been posed to us. We actually thought of this and said, that rather than thinking about this as a challenge and worrying about just how do we recover our schedule, right? I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind as an operations person, right? That how do I recover from this situation? Why don't we turn it around and look at the possibility of not just getting you what you potentially are asking for, but also thinking about a significant transformation that will bring us to a much better position going forward, right? And that's exactly what we did, right? So we put our heads together and we worked with almost all the internal stakeholders and our board, and talked to your students, got your feedback in, and we have now come back with what we believe is probably a significantly enhanced proposition and a program that I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be very excited about. And what I've listed here, which you will probably be seeing on your screens, are a few highlights that I want to just throw up right away before I get into a little bit of the detail of the new calendar, the new schedule, and how we are thinking of transforming, right? So first and foremost, right, we actually thought, why do we want to shrink this PGP, right, into a 46-week PGP? We used to run a 51-week, program with the earlier batches, and then in the earlier description that we had given to you, we said, okay, let's move it down to a 46-week MBA by doing term compressions. But we said, you know what? Let's actually think if we can give you a bigger, proposition, make sure that we can actually increase your learning, experience right here for the better. And we said, okay, let's go to a 52-week, MBA. So that was one thing we did. But how are we going to achieve this, right? Now, the government itself has mandated that, not mandated, but there are very strong guidelines that, don't start until, you can make sure the campus is safe, that social distancing can be maintained. So the guidelines currently say that we should be around, August, September. If you're starting as a fresher, then maybe it's September. But if you can, already have your admissions done and students are coming back, then they could potentially start in August, right? And we said, you know what? Why waste this time, and why not actually do most of our campus teaching when the government actually allows us to start, which is around September? That doesn't mean we are going to push back the schedule completely and say, oh, we're going to start in September. We could start earlier. In fact, we've already done, as Phil spoke about, we've started several programs and webinars that you're already gaining enough information through. And you're already experiencing some of what our faculty have to say and some of what the speakers have to say. We could do that. Right? And we came up with this idea that we could actually begin with what we are calling a 10-week-long digital Head Start module, which will actually begin on May 31st. Right? So that was a big step that we took, and we said, you know what, let's put that in. Let's make sure that we give our students the best learning experience during this phase itself and not waste any of their time, because I'm pretty sure you guys are raring to go. And let's make sure that all the on-campus experience that you guys desire and are waiting to have, let's start that when the government has told us to start, which is around September, first week or end of August. As soon as we are able to do that and our campuses can open, we would love to have you all over, right? So in short, if I were to say this digital Head Start module, which I'm, the acronym is DHM that I put out there, what will it, comprise? It will basically be all the events of your orientation, lead programs, a whole bunch of extracurricular or co-curricular activities that we've planned for you. So I've already, and I'll highlight some of them. We will have several learning events, alumni interactions, this student engagement and applied learning group, which basically takes all the co-curricular activities that ISB organizes them. We could start with their major activities right there. You've already heard of Jumpstart India at ISB, that initiative, the research initiative, and doing or getting involved in programs that are of national importance and contributing to nation building at this point in time. We've got fantastic feedback about that from the students, so we could start that. And not forget our focus on academics. So parallelly over a much longer period of 10 weeks, actually start with very comfortably paced foundational courses, which anyway are going to be useful for you during your MBA as you come onto campuses and start your learning journey on campus. So those four we could start, and we could, because it will be done over a much larger period, there wouldn't be much stress. There wouldn't be, compression of learning for you, and you will still be able to gain a lot, not just through these academic courses, but also through all these other events that you can do. Which means that we've pushed back the learning, all the other 28 courses that you would need to complete into starting August 31st, right? So that's what would automatically happen, and that would be on both our campuses. So we would then make sure that you would be able to get enough time to come on our campuses, move from the online to the offline format, and then we would begin classes just as before, right? And whatever we do during this term, right, this digital Head Start module, as we are calling it, it's not like we are going to stop and say, okay, this is it, these 3 months, we did it and we are done. No. A lot of that will actually continue all through the year. In particular, if you get involved with some of these practical courses, right, where you are gaining experience by working with our faculty, working on problems of national importance, thinking about issues, why should that stop? That can continue all through the year. In fact, that would, augment your learning quite substantially, right, beyond what will be taught in our classrooms itself. So that's gave us a lot of flexibility now, and we said, you know what? let's put this all on paper, and here is schematic representation of what your schedule is going to look like. So what we do is we start end of May, but we don't do O-week and lead just within a week. In fact, we buy ourselves more time. We do it over 2 weeks, right? And then somewhere around mid-June is when our DHM starts, this digital Head Start module, as we are calling it, that starts. And that goes on for 10 weeks, and it ends on 30th of August, right? So we get 10 full weeks to work with you, to give you all of these programs and webinars and learning experiences that we can, in addition to the 4 courses that we would run over the 10 weeks, which would be nicely paced for you. And then give you time to come onto campuses at the end of August. And then from there on, our regular schedule would start. All these 8 terms would be then completed, and we would graduate you by the end of May next year, right? So currently the graduation dates have been planned for 28th of May in the year 2021, and that would be in our Hyderabad campus, and on 30th of May in our Mohali campus. But so notice that this is a 52-week, starting from 31st of May this year, going all the way to 30th of May next year. And this doesn't even include all the Jumpstart modules and the operation ISB perspective modules that have already begun for you. That is outside, because those are happening prior to this time, right? So those are already happening. So in a sense, you're getting not just an entire year and almost all of it on campus, but also getting significant exposure even prior to coming on campus. So this is like your pre-learning would have already begun even before you come to campus. And all your social groups, the formation, your elections, all of that we can do a priori, so that when you come to campus you would hit the ground running. And notice that not only have we added the DHM, but we've also then interspersed all the way through our elective terms. So after term 5, term 6, term 7, and term 8, there are almost week-long or even slightly longer insertions where we would be running career prep weeks for you. We would actually have our placements, which is what we call as CAS, the Career Advancement Services Week. We would have an experiential learning week for those who choose not to participate in the research projects with our faculty in the Jumpstart India program. We would still have our experiential learning projects running for them. We've introduced an entire new course which is all about study treks, and in fact I have one of the faculty members sitting right here in the room with me. But these are study treks, and which have already been designed right now, and they will be helping our students get a lot of field experience, go visit firms, visit different places, and learn a lot about economy. I mean, it could be Indian economy, within that could be urban, rural, or even about firms. And if we get the options where our students can travel abroad, sure. I mean, if the visa restrictions get elevated by then, we could also arrange for those kinds of study treks for you. So all of that remains intact, in addition to the expansion that we have planned for you, right? So a quick deep dive into what is then this digital Head Start module, because that is our new insertion for about 10 weeks. So as I said, it comprises of 4 basic components. The academic component, where we will run 4 courses, and these would be for credit, which will count towards your graduation, but they will be run over 10 weeks. And the way we are planning to do them is do the first 2 courses over the first 5 weeks, and the next 2 courses over the next 5 weeks, which hopefully will not be burdensome at all, and the learning would be at your pace. But then we would start out on our independent study projects. We would start out on a lot of co-curricular activities with you. We would have, SEAL activities, learning events, international exchange information given out to you. We would start out with the bidding for, these events, which tends to be, quite intense at ISB. We would start out with the orientation week and the lead program, and then continue with the ISB perspective program, where we would get some of these eminent speakers, both academics, from industry, all of them to come and talk to you. And we will also intersperse that with a lot of our alumni coming and telling you about, what are the career options, how do you, navigate yourself through the MBA program, what are the new skills that one would require in order to be successful in the evolving world, right? So you will get a lot of those kinds of inputs. And as you work through, you could also start, making real contribution to nation building, right? So to kind of, just put it in a little more detail for you as to what's going to happen during the Digital Head Start module. All the 10 weeks I have here, I'm not going to get through, each one of the weeks and what is planned for you in each one of those weeks. But let me at least, focus a little bit on this Jumpstart India program. And I have here, I just got it before coming into this session, right? A list of projects that have already been lined up, and we have about 15 faculty members, all from different areas of specialization. So a lot of them are from finance, public policy, operations research. We have a lot of faculty from the OB area, from strategy, who have offered several topics. And just as examples, I mean, I myself am, and with Professor Sumit Kundamkar, we are going to offer something in transportation, logistics, and mobility. What are the issues related to that, and how could somebody think of problems or solutions to problems in those domains? There are, food and agriculture, boosting the economy. There is projects related to healthcare, working from home, monitoring corporate health, monitoring recovery. So a wide variety and wide domain of topics and projects that will be available for you in order to start working, and that will augment your in-class learning. So the way we are going to do this is we will have groups of faculty mentoring groups of students, and they will not only advise you about how to go about looking for problems and trying to work on the problem statements and coming up with solutions, but they will also show you which courses you might want to take, what kind of skills you may want to get in order to be effective, right? So those are the kinds of things that we have listed out here. And there will be several other things along with that, right? As I said, things like information sessions, your lead mentoring program, your elections, then, international exchange, doing L&D activity for you, getting alumni talks, all of that will also simultaneously happen during the DHM week. A quick thing, right? So one challenge that a lot of students mentioned, but how is the connectivity going to be for digital learning? Will ISB help us? Does it create additional problems for us? So what we thought about and what we are going to make happen for you is that in order for you to have easier access to all our content, one is that we are allowing all students to go ahead and procure at least 4 Mbps bandwidth from their local telecom or regular telecom service providers, whoever those are, and ISB will make the finances available for 3 months. So you don't have to worry if you don't have a higher bandwidth. We will be providing you financial help for that. We've already engaged with a digital platform that provides very high-end capability, and that service provider will help us actually professionally manage. So we will give you training on that platform, as well as show you how to navigate through its features. And the hope is that then, given the bandwidth and given the platform manager who will actually help us deliver most of this content, you shouldn't face as many problems. In fact, you should face no problems, at least going through the courses. And these kinds of webinars and all, anyway, you're used to, so we already have the capability. And along with that, we also have very professionally managed, very high-end studios, some that are already functioning, and then some that will become functioning in the next few weeks. So your experience is not going to be simply like somebody sitting in front of a webcam in an office room and delivering a lecture, but will actually be very professionally curated and monitored for you. So we are bringing all of that to you through technology interventions and building up this infrastructure. In fact, ISB, as one of its strategic goal is to be one of the leaders in digital education eventually. So we are already building up capacity to get there. Switching from online to offline, then, as I said that after the DHM term, we expect students to come back to campus, and then all the other terms thereafter will be done on campus, provided, of course, there is no future lockdown and we don't have to get into again evacuating in an emergency all the students. In that case, because we already have digital capability, we will be able to get online courses going very quickly. Hope that doesn't happen. Hope we don't have to, once you're on campus, we don't have to get you off. But we will give you enough time. We'll give you about a week, after the online course or the DHM, ends, and you will come. We will have a separate orientation for you on each of our campuses to get familiar with, all the campus procedures. However, once you're on campus, and for us to maintain safety for all, right, and that, as I said, is the prime concern, we will be ensuring very stringent health guidelines so that we, campus residents, including all our students, are safe, because that to us is our primary concern, and we cannot, let go of that aspect, right? So in that sense, we actually will look at whatever is state mandated, and in fact install a whole bunch of our own procedures. We've already got the SOPs in place in order to make this entire campus safe, right? And prior to your arrivals, we will ensure that everything is sanitized. I mean, things of common areas, quads, dining areas, all of that will be sanitized prior to arrivals on both our campuses. So that's a promise from our side. Now, Dean Raj, in his opening remarks, did mention that digital is the future. Working from home is not going to go away. And as students, right, and as MBA students and future leaders, and the ability to manage remotely is going to become a skill, right? And it's going to become a very pertinent skill in the times to come. So we actually find the 16:4 format, where we will have 16 in-class contact hours and 4 asynchronous hours for your learning, actually very amenable, and we have had significant success with that, as Dean Raj pointed out, with our PGP Pro program, which is for working professionals. It has a similar format, not 16:4, but it is a 14:4 format. But there again, we have asynchronous learning modules. And we actually want you to experience that. And you will be on campus anyway, so there won't be any bandwidth issues. There won't be any issues related to technology issues for you, because you will all be here on campus, and we can sort those problems out for you very trivially. But in this year, this probably is a good thing to do, because what we are hearing from the government, and if you look at the government guidelines, the government itself is mandating that 25% of the courses in the universities must be online. And this is in order to maintain physical distancing and social distancing. So we have already thought about that, and in fact this will actually help us start on time and not worry about those issues and those guideline violations if that happens. So there is a side benefit of doing this, but in spite of that, I think this format will actually be very beneficial to our students, as well as ease the learning burden, right? Because as you will talk to your seniors, they will tell you that ISB is so fast paced, and once you get on campus, you don't know what has hit you, because things just keep coming at you from all directions. So this asynchronous on 4 hours will actually help you, because you can learn at your own pace. You can learn at a time that is more amenable for you, rather than be forced to get into class and with others, right? So to do that, as I told you, we do have state-of-the-art digital capabilities. However, on the in-class side, I do want to point out that we will have to ensure that we are following the national and governmental norms, right? Which means that whatever those are, so things could be, you got to maintain physical distancing. You cannot have students sitting in the class for more than so many hours in AC environments. You cannot have more than so many students in a lecture theater. So some students may have to stay in their dorm rooms, and we may have to think of how we can alternate getting you into a classroom, and sometimes keeping you out of a classroom. The way the sections will be also built will be taking into account all those guidelines. So we've thought through most of them. We have solutions. Some minor details still need to be worked out, but you will get your on-campus experience. None of that is going to go away. You will have ample opportunity for peer-to-peer learning, face-to-face learning, interacting with faculty, interacting with your friends, while maintaining the physical distancing norms that will be become the way of life, at least for the next year or so, right? So that's something that you will be able to do once you're here. And there is no compromise on the number of contact hours. I mean, as we are one of the schools that actually is so rigorous, we deliver 640 contact hours in a 1-year program, which is, you know, comparable to 2-year programs. I mean, in most of the world, if you look at 2-year programs, they are around 760, 780. We are pretty much doing, you know, the whole shebang for you. And you will require to, you know, complete 32 courses going forth, right? So none of that changes, only that you get a little more time, a little more learning, breathing space, and far more experience in terms of, you know, all the other augmented learning abilities that you're going to have at your disposal, right? So quickly summarizing for you that, you know, what is it that if I were to put it on one slide, things that you should be looking for, right, as you come on board, right? First of all, this is unprecedented. No ISB batch has ever had a 52-week long rigorous enriching program. As Dean Raj pointed out, there were pioneers in 2001. You are pioneers of 2021, right? 20 years forth, you are going to see, you know, you are going to be the batch that experienced it for the first time, right? And that's truly transformational right here. Your peer-to-peer opportunities, in fact, are going to be extended in both formats. It's going to be both online as well as offline. In fact, I hear that some of you are already starting to engage with each other, forming groups, you know, having online chats, having online sessions, exchanging ideas and notes. That has already begun. That will continue when you get onto campus. It will be far more enriching in both forms that you will experience. You are the first batch that will have this 10-week digital Head Start module, right? And this will be a way to augment your in-class learning in significant ways. No previous batch at ISB has had this kind of an opportunity. You are the first batch where we will be introducing study treks, and this is meaningful because we as ISB have believe, and in fact, in our own transformational journey, we want experiential learning to become a key component of our curriculum. And this is a right step in that direction, right? So, you know, I just believe that this is extremely value enhancing for you to go out there and experience, you know, in the real world, some of the concepts that you learn in classrooms and from your peers and from your faculty, to go experience that, to write about it, you know, to interact with, you know, managers out there who are doing this. And you yourself have worked in the industry for so many years, so you probably have already seen some of it. Having going through the course, you may be able to relate much better and actually, in fact, you know, understand why things are done in certain ways out there in practice, right? So I think this course is a significant value add. And what I also hear, and if for people who do this at some other schools, right, the bonding opportunities that happen during these study treks is something that, you know, remains with the groups for a very, very long time. We've started this unique initiative of Jumpstart India at ISB. I think you're the first batch. This may become mainstay for us because this is where you're going to work on very relevant projects of national importance with faculty members guiding you. We've never had this before. I think here it's a confluence of some of the research that our faculty do, some of the, you know, thought leaders that you have, you're going to work with from government and policy making bodies and industry to come and work with you. I think that's going to be a great opportunity for you. You've already started experiencing ISB perspectives, interaction with our board members, our illustrious alums, some of the world-class faculty that are giving out webinars with a digital platform readily available. You know, getting anybody from anywhere in the world is going to become very easy for us, right? We can get them into your classroom during your asynchronous learning. We can have a visiting faculty from a top school, you know, actually co-teach a class, at least those 4 hours, and you will get that dual learning that you probably never got in a pure offline format, right? So those things will work for you, and those will be very unique. Another example of that is the Operation Jumpstart that, you know, Dr. Zerillo talked about earlier on, right? That where, you know, we've already started delivering on some of these things. Additionally, you know, there is this career placement help that you will get. We have an entire week that we are going to devote to this in order for you to start, you know, looking at job options. How do you prep yourself? How do you, you know, position your resume? How do you position your skills in order to get that dream job that you have? And we know this is going to be a tight year, so we have actually, you know, gone back and told our board members and told our alums to actually volunteer a lot of their time to come and speak to you as a batch and help you get the job that you came here to get, right? So that's something that we will facilitate for you all through the year, and definitely during these prep weeks that we have for you, right? So with this, I'll stop. I know that there are a lot of questions, but before I stop, I do want to at least acknowledge a few people who worked with me on this, right? And I mean, the whole school did, right? I mean, I can't take everybody's name, but at least the team that I am, heading. So I have Professor Anand Nankumar, who is the Associate Dean for our Research Centers, Professor Ram Thirumalai, who's actually the Senior Associate Dean for Programs. So you will actually interact with Professor Ram quite a bit once you join campus. And with his team, comes the Academic and Student Affairs group, headed by Ms. Kavita Subramaniam. On the faculty alignment side, sourcing faculty, getting the contracts ready, we have Professor Sudhir Voleti, who is the Associate Dean for our what we call as the FARO office, which is the Faculty Alignment and Registrar's Office. And with him works Dr. Ashalata Devi Singh, who's the director for the Registrar's Office, and also helps with getting all these contracts and contacting our visiting faculty. So all of them have worked double time, because one of your requests was, how do we get the visiting faculty that keep coming to ISB? And we had to go back and work with them and try to figure out how will we get them online, because travel restrictions will continue to remain. Those are not going away. A lot of our faculty actually come from the US, right? So, but we have now a digital platform. We need to get them to come deliver their courses, and maybe simultaneously with our resident faculty in these online formats. And if our resident faculty are also teaching in a class, they could beam into the class for these 4 hours and do a module for our students itself, right? So various options we have been exploring, and that's where these offices have come to help us. Plus, on just the training side, which you will get in touch with, is Professor Soumya Sindwani, who works with our, the Center for Learning and Management Practice, and she will get in touch with all of you in order to get you guys trained on the platform so that you become adept at using its features and have a fairly seamless experience as you do both digital and offline. And we have Shiv Kumar, Mr. Shiv Kumar from our Student Engagement and Applied Learning group. You will interact with him a lot. I mean, he's one of the most loved persons when students leave, because he is the one that you deal on a regular basis for all kinds of things while you're on campus, right? So that will continue to happen. And he's got an elaborate team that will help you with all these co-curricular activities that I spoke about, right? So we've put this solution in place. I believe it is much more than what we have been offering so far, and it will. And if you, once you come on board and you become part of our program, I'm pretty sure your learning journey will be something that you will really cherish in the years to come. And of course, added to all of that is your lifelong learning opportunity, right? So that always exists, and for all our alums, and we would love to have you guys back once you become alums. So I'll hand it over back to Dibendu.
Wow, that's a fantastic and also relevant step up. It makes me wonder whether I should have been a PGP student this year. So now let me turn again to Dr. Z. Today, as we face unprecedented times due to the COVID-19, Dr. Z, could you please share how the school is going to ensure our safety once we leave for campus? Also, there have been questions about our study treks and career prep week, which are brand new offerings this year. In short, if I may say, could you, Uncle Z, help us take one of the most important decisions of our life by sharing any other relevant information?
Yeah, thank you so much, Divyendu. So look, folks, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot that goes into protecting your safety here on the campus. Among the roles or among the hats that I wear here at the university, one of them is that I'm the head of human resources. So, keeping people safe, keeping the campus safe really kind of falls in my lap in large part. And in the mornings, I have meetings with the operations team, and I want to thank the people that I've been working with for the kind of detail, the kind of I dotting and T crossing that they've done to make sure that the residents of this campus have been able to stay safe over the last 6 weeks, and that the exiting batch of students have also been able to stay safe. So I want to say a special thank you to Babu Ganesh, Pavan, Mr. Ghosh from the operations team, Naresh Chowdhury. I also want to thank the people from over in human resources like Ganesh Seshan and Anuruddha Mukherjee, who, these people have stepped up just continuously with their teams to make sure that everybody was able to stay safe and that everybody has been able to get the kind of information to be able to thrive in this kind of an environment. And also, the people that came together to help me to organize things like Operation Jumpstart. So people like Kavita Subramanian, people like Arshia Barshek, they've done just a great job of coming together and making sure that, we've built this bridge that you guys are going to be able to come across. I always think to myself that, what is life about? Life very often is about building bridges that other people can walk over, right? And that's what we've been trying to do here at the university. This hasn't been the easiest time to construct a bridge. The waters have been turbulent. We haven't always known what materials we were going to have. But really, all of these people, as Professor Sohoni pointed out, they've come together. And we've done something new, we've done something different, and we've tried to do the best job we can possibly do with the 52 weeks ahead. So thank you so much. I'm going to talk a little bit now about how we're going to keep you safe while you're here. In the mornings we have these talks about the things that we need to do to ensure the safety of our residents on the campus. So, it's one thing to say we're going to keep you safe. It's another thing of what are the steps. So what are some of the things that we do? Okay, well, we have prior to reporting to campus, okay, basic information has to be submitted. We've already asked you, where are you coming from? Are you coming from hot zones or are you coming from green zones? We're trying to get an understanding of where people are coming, what kind of zones they might be crossing to get here to the Hyderabad or the Mohali campuses. So this first thing what we're trying to do is get some of the background information. We also do this with all of our employees, right? So while today it may be that Punjab or it may be that Telangana is considered a hot zone, okay, the whole zone is not hot. There's, certain districts which are or are not. And we're keeping an eye on where people are coming from and where they're coming from every day to work. So these are the kind of things that we're doing at a macro level. We're also making sure that people follow the guidelines for folks 65 years of age, people who are pregnant, children, making sure that they follow the guidelines as per the government suggestions. All students that are coming to campus and all of the students who, all of the people who are accompanying them are going to have to take a test, okay, to get onto the campus. So we're trying to make sure that we ensure that the population that comes on campus is a healthy population as we begin. Quite frankly, this is one of the things that I think has been behind the government pushing start dates further and further and further for many of the campuses, is to ensure that we have enough testing available to be able to bring people on. Students are going to be required to wear masks when they're outside of their dorm rooms. So once they're outside in the quads, in the common areas, we're going to ask them to socially distance and also to be able to wear masks and things like this. Also, we're going to be testing. We have the testing centers, or we have the health centers on campus. So all of these types of things that we're going to do, are the simple first generation plans. Other things, Dr. Sohoni began to talk about many of these, where he said, look, some of the things we have to do. The government is giving guidelines as to how many hours of day can you be in air-conditioned spaces before it's presenting a risk to other people. So we're going to be monitoring these types of things, staggering classes, group study assignments, these types of things to try to ensure that we keep up with the best practices of the guidelines that are given out by the government. Okay, so things like recreation centers, saloons, things like this have currently been closed. We'll keep an eye on those and hopefully restore them as it becomes safe enough for us to be able to do so. But again, the key for us is make sure you're healthy, make sure you're safe. This is what we want to ensure. That's the first priority of all of our plans. The second thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the fees. Okay, so I know that in people's minds, question is when do I have to pay my fees? Okay, we're continuing with the first installment is going to be the May 15th fee. We're going to be beginning our classes, and as Dr. Soni pointed out, those classes are classes that are going to count towards your graduation. They're going to be a part of your grade point average. They're going to be, so this is the sort of thing that we're beginning school, and we're beginning school on the 1st of June, so we need to, so the fees will be payable on May the 15th. We've been working with all the banking partners to make sure that these fees are that we're able to get the loans out to the individuals. Okay, and we will, once you come on campus, we will make repayment to you for the housing that you won't require. So instead of the typical 51 weeks, you'll have a shorter number of weeks of actually on the campus, so we'll rebate on a prorated basis, whatever that housing difference is. Okay. All right, so, and then, I want to talk about some of the other things that are kind of new, okay? And as, Professor Sahoni talked about these, or alluded to these a little bit. God willing, that the travel restrictions lift, that governments allow us to travel around either within India or they allow us to travel around internationally. We've set up a series of treks for you. Okay, now I was one of the guys in the world who was pioneering these treks 25 years ago. So I began developing, ways in which it is that we deliver these types of things. A typical trek might be either a domestic trek, where what we do is we look at an industry or we look at a particular problem in the country and we work on the problem, or we go see the companies that are involved in a certain industry in a certain area of the country. Now, what does that do? It gives us an opportunity to get out of the classroom, to travel with a faculty member, to go out in the field, to talk to professionals in the area, to ask questions with a whole bunch of smart people around you, your peers, the faculty members. This is a great time for you to move from the theoretical to the very, very practical, right? As you talk to these managers and what have you. Now look, in the international treks, the model is very much around the idea of we go to places where we have cases written about the companies. Now these might be typical cases that you could have taken a class on, but there's just something about it when you go to a place like Thailand and you go and you talk to the Vietnamese or the Thai or the Myanmar entrepreneur, and you've got the case, you've got the story, you know what happened. And then you start asking questions. And when you can hear the whir of the factory, when you can smell the fumes of the plant, when you can see the sweat on the brow of the entrepreneur, this is when all of these business lessons really begin to come alive. And to do that with 40 or so of your friends, it's an amazing experience. So this was something that, we looked at this and we said, how can we make a more intensive interaction? Okay, how can we create an opportunity for people to get together and have a very intense interaction with each other? And that's what these study treks are about. They'll have an intense interaction with the environment that they go to, and they'll also have an intense interaction with their peers. Now, typically, how do these things line up? Usually it's about 40 or so people on a trip or a trek, okay, about 40 or so people. There's kind of a little bit of a constraint. Okay, one of the things that you find is going to companies have boardrooms, and once you get beyond 50 or so people, it gets a little bit hard for them to be able to accommodate you. Secondly, just quite simply from a very simple practical standpoint, buses are a maximum of 42 seats. So you have a hard time going beyond 42 people on these. So if we take an administrator and a faculty member, it means that groups are about 40. Yeah, sometimes we'll have a microbus or things like that. Okay, so these are going to be 1 week. You're going to go to wherever that location is, domestically, internationally. It's going to be 1 week, and what we'll do is we'll take care of the, for the most part, the ground expenses of that trip. Okay. All right, now, some other things. Another new thing that we have coming up, okay, the Career Preparation Week, okay? Preparation Week, you know, what we're trying to do is get you ready, get you prepared for the job market. This is a week for you to intensively prepare yourself for that career, so that you put the best foot forward when you talk to companies. That's what this is about. So some of the things that we'll be doing, resume building workshops, alumni interaction, where you can talk to alumni and they can tell you, hey, I did this right, I did that wrong, I wish I had known this before I went in there. Here's how I handled my kinds of questions. Also, many of our alumni are also interviewing people today. They can tell you an awful lot about what they're looking for, the kind of things that make you pop, okay, and make you stand out from the others. How to tell your story so that your story is heard. Okay, so what we'll be doing is having pre-placement talks with recruiters. We bring in the recruiters and let them talk to you about how to get ready for the market. Right? This is one of the things that the recruiters, the more they come in here, the more time they spend with you, the more they get to know you, the more opportunity there is for you to meet them, for you to stand out. But the other thing is, the more they meet you, the more we find they like you. Okay, and the more they're bought into the ISB brand, the more that time that they spend here, the more comfortable, the more secure they feel with ISB candidates. So this is, you know, about making sure that it happens, that your career placement is done at the highest level, that you have the best opportunity to begin your career on the front foot, not on the back foot. Okay, so we have, you know, events and workshops around all the different areas, you know, such as building your LinkedIn profile or product management or what have you. Okay, and you know what we'll also be doing is, you know, bringing in the recruiters themselves. Okay, one of the things that we recognize is this is going to be a year, okay, with a little bit more uncertainty, right? That's you know, without a doubt going to be something that we're going to have. And what we're doing is we're re-engaging. And as Dr. Sohoni pointed out, we're going out to our board, we're going out to our alumni. We're saying, hey, this year, okay, we need you to get involved. We need you more now than we ever have needed you before. Not because we don't think we'll place our students, but because we need the assistance this year. This is not going to be the easiest year. Okay, last year was not supposed to be an easy year. What happened? Okay, the economy was starting to falter. What did our career services do? They went out and they upped the number of companies that came across the campus recruiting by 50%. Okay, that's a lot of activity. So we're not going to wait for the future to unfold. We're not going to wait until the gun is pointed at our head to, you know, get started on your career. What we're going to do is be proactive. So this year, we've gone out to our alumni, we've gone out to our board, we've gone out to the various stakeholders, and what we're doing is saying, come, we need your help this year. Come be a part. Come meet the students. These are great students. Be a part of this and be a part of this journey with us. Okay, so these are the kind of things that we're going to be doing. And as you can see, the companies that we bring here to this campus, fantastic, right? I mean, we're the biggest employer for people like McKinsey, Deloitte, firms like this. We're their largest source of talent around the world. So, you know, I've been at a lot of business schools throughout my career. I've had an opportunity to work on multiple continents and in multiple countries. And this is really one of the truly greatest strengths of the Indian School of Business, is that career services and the ability to place people. And you know, the career services people are taking great steps. They're on the ball already. They're in conversation with the admissions team, with Dibiendu and the team, to shape these ISB perspectives and also to get involved in Operation Jumpstart, because they recognize time is of the essence in getting you ready for that job market. So, you know, look, I don't think that you want to lay under your desk in a fetal position. Okay, these crises come along and you can lay under your desk and you can hope for it all to pass away, or you can jump right in. Okay, the best way to predict the future is to go out and create it. So here's your chance. What we've tried to do here, okay? And what my colleagues and I have spent a lot of time on is trying to find the best solution given what we heard from you. Okay, what we heard from you was, hey, really, we want the 10 months, okay? We want to be together for 10 months. So we've tried to accommodate that. Hey, we'd like a longer experience. We'd like 12 months, okay? So we've tried to accommodate that with the digital portion. Okay, but we've also added in some things that we think are going to be good for you. Okay, these things like Jumpstart the Indian economy, these things like the Treks, these things like career services. Okay, these are maybe things that, you know, if you haven't been through an MBA program, you haven't seen the need or the necessity for these. But this is what we wanted to do is, you know, we looked at this and you know what? Sometimes a crisis is an excellent opportunity, as the dean pointed out, for us to take a look at what we do and reorganize. We started 20 years ago with a certain model in our head, and suddenly we have this great opportunity with you to create a new path forward. So come on along, be a part of it, and let's blaze this trail together. Thanks so much for coming on out tonight. And as I said, as Dr. Sahoni said, okay, we will take all of your questions. We're recording the questions. We will batch them up like we did the last time rather than trying to answer all of them at the moment. And what we'll do is we'll put out an organized response to the major questions. Otherwise, please get a hold of the people over in admissions, people like Amit and Dibyendu and Aditya and the admissions team, Tarun, and ask them any questions that you have. Look, as I said before, the people involved in this process, the people here in education, we're bridge builders. We want to help you get to the other side. This is what we're all here for. So if you're having a problem, if you're having a question, if something doesn't feel right, call us up. We're here to help you. That's why we got in this profession. So thanks so much for coming on out. We look forward to seeing you here on this campus as soon as health conditions permit. All the very best.
Thank you, Dr. Z. I guess Professor Milind also has a parting note to share with the incoming batch, and I would also request in the end Dean Raj to share thoughts.
So I was just, quickly browsing through some of the questions that were coming through, and of course, as Professor Phil said that we will answer all of them later, so we will do that. But I just wanted to also, quickly just allay some questions that had come over here. And see, this DHM, I think, is unique in the sense that, see, these academic courses, I just want to emphasize, these are not, just simple 2-hour lectures and just get out. This will be synchronous learning in the full digital format that we have over our platform. So be assured, right, that we are very serious as an institution about the rigor in academia, and we will not compromise on that at all. So we will ensure that you're learning, and these are foundational courses that you will take, only that they will be at a much easier pace for you over a 10-week period as opposed to a 5 or 6 week period that we normally do them. So they will not be burdensome, but we will ensure that you get true value. But all these other aspects of the DHM is also something that is going to help you, enhance your skills quite well. So, I mean, it's not just something that, we believe is just a simple augmentation. There are parts of this that are, really, really going to enhance the experience for you, both in terms of learning as well as, in terms of gaining skills that are outside the classroom. So I just wanted to emphasize that on some of the questions that I saw. But we will get back to all your questions, and I look forward to seeing you guys on campus. I mean, I'm really excited, to have you all on campus.
Over to you, Dean Raj, for some parting thoughts from your side.
There are a couple of things I want to talk about. One is for the incoming batch, be assured that what we have talked about today is simply the first step. We have 12 months ahead of us, and right through those 12 months, ISB will continue with its spirit of continuous improvements. There will be ideas that will come up in August and November, and ISB is known for implementing them as we go along. I also want you to remember that one of the big elements of ISB is really the alumni. Now the alumni was almost 12,000 strong, with the fastest growing alumni group in the world. And the alumni are going to step in and help us, take this forward. We also have probably the world's best convening power of visiting faculty. We will, draw upon them. We'll bring them into the picture. Above all, I want to guarantee you agility in this process. So while we're asking you to be agile, ISB itself will be an agile organization that will learn as we go along. If I look at the last 6 weeks and the changes that we've made, Professor Zirillo made the comment, it's building the bridge and letting other people cross over the bridge. I would like to draw another analogy that we're literally, building the airplane while we're flying it. So some of the changes that you have seen in the last, month, these are changes that have been well thought over. They've been sliced and diced every way. We've digested them. And so we're making these changes in a positive note, and other positive changes are going to be made. I also wanted to note that this is not just ISB. The country has, through Niti Aayog, is putting together a special digital task force for digital education. And, I am one of the 5 representatives on it. And hopefully, we will learn not only from what's going around the world, but we will also get a much deeper insight. And whatever we learn, we will bring to the table. And our commitment to, to the incoming students and certainly to the broader ISB community, including the alums, the board, etc., is that we will ride at the top of the wave and not go under in terms of the quality that we deliver and in terms of the new processes that we bring in place. So with that, we really look forward to the next 52 weeks. And as Professor Zirillo said, here's a chance to predict the future. The best way to predict it is to create it. So we have to be forward-looking. We have to create the future scenarios. And this is your chance to be the pioneer batch for ISB Postgraduate Programs 2.0. So thanks again, and we will get back to the questions that you're raising. And so we look forward to seeing you on campus. Take care.
Thanks, Dean Raj. So I'll just close on a note from one of my favorite leaders of today, Satya Nadella, and he's says that our ambitions are bold, and so must be our desire to change and evolve our culture. So future ISBians, it's time for you all to step up and step forward. Thank you so much for joining this session today. Hope most of your queries have been answered. And as the leadership appointed, we would take in more queries and over the next week or so, get back to you with the response from our side. Stay home, stay safe. Look forward to see you soon on campus. Good night.